Video 2 of 2 on January 21st. Okay, mid-February. You want to elaborate more about that? Broke boy, I would love to hear about it. Okay, so Enbridge. Let's zoom back out. I have lines. I love it. Hey, look at that. It's going down along our lines and it's falling into a support zone. So target 1 is 46 and change. Target 2 is 45 and change. It's not always necessary to do both targets, but it's pretty close to target 1. So there are buyers, better buyers at 47.50, 47.60. And it's doing this during the market's strongest points. So a lot of sellers at 49.50 and buyers scattered below. If I'm long, I'm not adding. End phase, I considered it for the long side, but man, this thing is so untrustworthy. And also, they have not recovered some pretty good necklines that they had before. I thought that they could hold 150 before, and I knew if they lost it, it would be a problem. So I think there are a lot of sellers up here. There are a lot of buyers below, so I give them that as well. But I think the buyers are down here. So if you twist my arm, I would sell naked puts, but lower, and give it a lot of room. Like if I wanted to sell them, I would sell them a year out and way lower, or 6 months out, or 5 months out. This is a good company. The P&L is solid. So, and I think people are going to need more and more artificial electricity, independent electricity. So I'm looking to add for my own place. I do have solar, but I'm looking to add off-grid solar. So right now the solar helps me reduce the bill, but it doesn't help me be on if the, like I live in California, if we have an earthquake and we lose power, I don't have power, even though I have solar. So good solid support below. They're selling rallies, respect that. Maybe this, maybe this time it's different. It's falling into support. So I'm going to add it to my trading list. There we go. What is this? ENVX falling into a huge head and shoulders, just like AHR, except it hasn't lost the line like AHR. So ENVX, if you want to go long against this one with an immediate stop, I would, because if it loses 8.5, I don't know how low it go. It could be 5, it could be 7. I don't want to be on board. So make sure if you're trading, you want that with a stop. If you're investing, you want to nibble and add later if it collapses. There's no income, so you don't have any defense from the P&L. Extreme Networks doing some extreme moves. Same story. You do have buyers into 15 and 14 and a half, but they better hold. If you cannot come out of 18 and change, you're in danger of sinking into the 12 area. There's no evidence you're going there. You have solid buyers, but if you do lose, for example, last week's low, it was at 15.3. Wow, look at it. Look how clean of a line it is. 15.3 it is. If you lose 15.3, I would exit. I don't know how low it goes. And you have a lot of sellers up there. Tim Cook is on Bloomberg. Awesome. What does he have to say? We have new colors for the iPhones. Let's see here. Who is this? FDX. FedEx. I'm not trading FedEx or UPS. They have labor issues out of nowhere. Fundamentals are great. Business is like duopoly. Let's see. 239, better hold. Otherwise, you get to 228, and you have a bunch of sellers above. Earnings is in 60 days. Here are the lines. They're still holding the lines. So these lines are from last time. They're testing the support. Now, if you lose 240, you're probably going to go to 224. And this dip was buyable, but now it shook reality. So we have weak hands above. There's no longer this appetite to go ballistic on it. Flex, I wouldn't touch it up here. Technically, it's probably going to 21. Whoa. Wow. So they need to break out of 24. Otherwise, I think it's easier to get to 20. How about that? I think 20 is easier than 24. Not to judge it. I'm just talking charts. All right, GCT. If it's an investment, okay, the P&L is fine. Just make sure you study the investment. Good trend, good solid buyers at 17 in case it dips. Too high for my taste. Oh my lord. Okay, so what is happening here? All right, so just from looking at that, you have a hardcore buyer at 18 and an unbelievable seller above 24. Use those two numbers to give you relativity as to where you want to get engaged. If I'm already long, I'm not adding. Where do I add? At 12 or 13. That's me. If I'm looking to get long, I would take 20% of my position. I would treat it like Palantir. GFI. 1220 needs to hold, otherwise you go to 1120. It is support until it's lost, and then it becomes a problem. Bunch of sellers above 1420. Bunch of sellers above 1350. So use those. 24 days until the earnings. Who is this? GFS. Resistance scattered through 63. You take out 63, you get another $4 out of it. Meanwhile, you have strong buyers below. So this is a buy the dip mode. And if you're writing calls, I get it. Just make sure you trade it. If you're an investor, then you're at a pivot point. You're in balance. You have a lot of buyers scattered all the way below and a bunch of sellers scattered all the way above. If it's an investment for the long term, you got it. I wouldn't add anything here. I don't know what this is. Apparently I do know what this is. Look at how accurate this chart was. So it's doing what it's doing. It's a buy the dip mode for me. The next time it falls to 141, get long. 10 days until the earnings. That's a game changer on headline basis, but it looks like it's going to pop before then. So point A to point B, consolidation for a long period of time. This is a bullish chart. It could get to 155. So don't short it. And if you're looking to get long, it's a momentum trade with going into earnings. So you might be here. Maybe it gets one more dip and then it explodes higher. That is a bullish chart, so you can't short it. I see the need to be long. I get it. GM, what do they do? Oh yes, they make chariots. Okay, so you see that white thing? That is not out of the question. The white thing I drew. They gave me half of it. Okay. I don't think this happens. I think car maker management have lost their mind, and now they're trying to fix problems from the last 5-6 years. And look at all those sellers on a weekly basis. So anything above 36 is being sold hard for weeks at a time. If I zoom in, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so earnings are in 9 days. They better have a good song. Look at all these sellers on a weekly basis. So how about we do this? If they close above 39, 37, they can get to 42. That's the upside. So this can happen. You just need to take out that seller on a weekly basis. Or buy the dip into this big candle, into 31 or lower. You don't load up because you might have the opportunity to buy it as a teenager. Yes, it's a long shot, but it's doable. Alphabet, going into prior fail, which is the all-time high, you take that out, she gone, right? So you can't short it. It's just going to go by way of what the market does. And they're buying dips. Look at it. Every dip they're buying it. I would, if it pops on earnings, like 10%, I would short it by selling calls for the end of the year. Those are the trades that I do long distance because I love the company. I'm all about Google, but I'm just talking stock chart. The breakout level was 138-ish, and this is the continuation of it. The target could be that blue triangle up there, 152, 154, and it would be shortable up there. When I say short, I don't mean selling the stock short. I just mean buying a put spread, for example, or selling a call spread, something finite. And I would buy dips into 130 if they come. Same story on Google. GTLB, GitLab, okay. The download company as I know it. Running into a prior fail. Anything above 72 is open air. So the bears are stuck with it. And it's got good reputation. So if you're long, I understand. You can ride your longs. If you're looking to add, I wouldn't if I'm long already. If I'm looking for entry points, I would use dips. I would prefer to use dips into 53. But if your time frame is long, you can start longs, but leave room to add later. This looks bullish. It might get to 44 before it gets to 38. If it does get to 38, it's a good entry point, Hilton. But that's going to be a lot of work. Look at all the sellers above. So this part is easier than this part. So this is a good business model. Tough spot to be if you look left. I don't know how good their cash flow is. That's important. The P&L on paper looks good. If you lose 8.1, you might get to 7.2 or 7.4, and a lot of sellers above. I don't know how it's going to break out through 980, but that's a lot of sellers. So it's easier for it to fall. Earnings in 51 days. Humana, every time I see HUM, guess what I'm thinking? I'm thinking hummus. Don't know why, that's the word that comes to mind. Maybe I'm hungry. So rallies into 450 are going to be met with a lot of sellers. It just had a pre-announcement. The earnings are coming soon in 4 days. I honestly don't know how that's going to play out. Maybe a small relief pop on earnings that is not as bad as he said when they pre-announced, and then another dip. So if I went long on this dip, I should be careful. If I went long other stocks that moved with it, like UNH, then I should also be careful, because UNH moved down with Humana on its headline. Good support zone. I'm assuming good business, but they had an update on prosperity, and there was material, and so the market punished them. Rallies into 450 or opportunities to get out. So that's how I would deal with it. It's going into a coin flip. There might be a small relief pop. Don't chase the pop. Exit longs that you're stuck in if you have them. All right, we can erase all of this. Who is this? Oh, Intel. Not an opportunity for me. I mean, Intel is underwhelming as far as headlines and all of that. And I prefer NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is too high. It's riding the coattails of NVIDIA stock, not the company, the stock. And 53 is an area where it's been difficult. 55 as well. Earnings in 4 days. So maybe you trade this via AMD. If you want to be long Intel, you take longs in AMD. They'll move together, but AMD won't be punished as hard if Intel disappoints on its own earnings. It will be punished a little bit. INTT, I think the person that submitted that, they want to be an investor in it. Okay, pretty choppy stock. So it's okay to invest in it. Good P&L. And I wouldn't be all in. Just leave room to add. If you get to 14, you might get to 18. Iron Mountain, okay. Not a very bullish chart on the daily. It looks like it's easier to get to 63 than it is to 71. Is that a fair statement? Buy the dip mode, yes. That's what the chart is telling me. And the trigger is 64.6. If you lose 64.5, you're going to get that 60, 61 entry point versus sellers at 71, which is the trigger. So if you went long on this dip, I get it. Just make sure you realize that there's a problem at 68, at 69, and at 71. KGC, Kinross, yeah. Okay, they just fell into support, so that's the good news, right? Right there. The bad news is that they just lost an important zone that they needed to hold. So now onus is on the bulls to do this and recover that, versus do this and come back down and do that. This looks easier to get to X than it is to 5.9. Kraft Heinz. Great rally. It was an exit point. If you look left, huge area of selling. So I think it's going to be very difficult to take out 39. If you do, you'll get the 40.5. I would exit there. Buy the dip if you like this company. Where? Anywhere below 35. LPG. I love it when I have lines from before. Well, looky there. Wow. So that was a pretty good drawing. I don't remember doing these. And they fell into the trend. Now they're trying to hold that trend. If they lose that trend, they will get to 37. So the new lines are this are still good. And if you lose that, the low from recent days, you might end up here. I believe this is the target they're chasing. Earnings in 11 days, they could prove me wrong. Marriott, not for me. Again, why now? Why not when it was down on its luck? If you say I'm an investor for the long term, you know, that's the argument for you. You're an investor for the long term. Why now? It's not going to matter now or a few days later. So you miss on 5% of upside. You've missed on 100% of the upside. Why now? Just buy the dip. If you cannot stand it, just take a little bite to get the need out. Mara, hopefully I stopped you from chasing it and all of those stupid stocks that were rallying with crypto. I call them stupid because a lot of people trade them because they want to trade Bitcoin. Like, you can trade Bitcoin doing other stuff. Trade Bitcoin. Don't trade these things. Anyway, I wouldn't even buy Mara here. If Bitcoin is going to 38, Mara will be 11. Okay? And if Bitcoin crashes for whatever reason, Mara will be $3 or $4. What does it have on its own other than the price of Bitcoin is what I'm asking. It's why I prefer to trade crypto rather than companies that do crypto. Like, look at the P&L. If it accumulates Bitcoin, it's completely dependent on Bitcoin price, and Bitcoin is 42,000. What if it goes to 20? Not likely scenario in the next couple of months, but what if Bitcoin goes to 20? Where is this going? So if you're an investor in Mara and you're already long, this is not a place I would add. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying short it, a crappy company or anything. Its top line is completely dependent on the price of Bitcoin. If that's the case, then I wouldn't add here. If you're a trader, okay, I get it. Just make sure not to go all in. Simplify, another Bitcoin strategy. I don't know what that is. All right, same comments I said about Mara, I guess I can say here. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. Is it like Beto? I prefer Beto. Probably more liquid. MCD, McDonald's. It was a huge contributor to the Dow on Friday because it's a heavyweight. It's a it's a $300 stock, and it was up big. 2% up on a $300 stock. It was contributing more than Apple. It looks like it wants to break out. Earnings in 15 days. To be honest, I'm a little leery of chasing it into their earnings into an all-time high. Good job. They buy dips, and you're like right here maybe. Look, huge dip. That's the pandemic. Okay, I mean, if you want to buy it now, nothing I would do, but the trend is your friend. If you're long and you're looking to add, I question that. Buy the next dip. Solid P&L, you can't argue with the results. They sell junk food and they convince people to eat it. Smart people. Okay, what is this? Meta. The idea of shorting Meta is lunacy because it's a multi-headed dragon. They have 3 billion active users. They can sell gum and be successful. So if the market is rallying, this one's rallying. I think it's shortable closer to 395 from a shorting perspective. It will move with Netflix. The P&L is impeccable. Look at it. So it's not It's not the dot-com bubble, folks. Look at this P&L. The dot-com bubble, there was no income. Yeah. So it's very respectable company, whether you like it or not. And it sold off unrealistically, and that's the byproduct of it. Is this an all-time high? Pretty sure it is. If you wanted to short it from closer to 400. Thank you, Raghu. All right, so I exited my short of the XLC last week when we had a one red day because I got tired of fighting these two. This is a quarter of the XLC, and the other quarter is Alphabet. So two stocks. And then you have the XLK, similar scenario only with Microsoft and Apple. So be careful with Meta. I wouldn't short it. If the markets are higher, this one's higher for sure. I'm scared of all the home builders, anything that says realty, real estate. The stock is performing very well. The P&L doesn't have anything flagrant, but it's just too strong for me. Are you an investor? Good job. Are you looking to add? I wouldn't. Are you looking to get in? I would take a small, tiny portion just to be involved if I have to. Otherwise, I'll put it on my watch list. I'll put an alert down at 117 or 118, and then have it wake you up when it gets there. Money Lion. Is this like a Western Union type of a deal? Okay. I think they're selling rallies. A rally might sell off and it might do this. You're in danger of that. Let me rephrase it. They need to be above 54, otherwise 42 is easy. They need to be above 54, otherwise 42 is easy. Marsh McLennan, my friend works there. He has a lot of stock option, and I helped him do some sold calls covered. Okay, so above 203, they go to 215 on a breakout. Meanwhile, it's probably easier to buy the dip. Earnings in 4 days. I honestly don't know how it reacts to earnings. Buy the dip into 188 would be my action. Holding through the earnings is hoping for the best. Okay, MRVL. Awesome. We went long on dips, I believe. So up here, I'm not going long. Ooh, we have prior history. Yeah, go ask that person what happened to them when they went long. It could get to 85, but not with my money. It is a breakout from 66 or 67. Target is 90. Still, I wouldn't start here. Start on the dip. 40 days until the earnings. It does have momentum. It does move fast. It just missed out on a lot of easy 30%. Last week alone, 12%. Not ideal chasing stocks. Microsoft hit the target. Excellent company. The new king of stock in my book. Forget Apple. This is the king of stock. It might market cap might already be bigger than Apple. Is it 3 billion already market cap? 3 trillion. Neck and neck, but I think it's bigger now. And it's better suited. The P&L is better, growing faster, more upside potential. You can't short it. It's like Meta. It's up in thin air. Meta has a prior fail. This one does not. If you're shorting it, you're shorting the market outright, and it's probably easier to short the market. If you're chasing it up here, where's the fire? You've been waiting so long, you should wait out a little bit more. Or sell puts to own shares. Thank you. Sell puts to own shares and or buy leaps, one part of 3 or 4. Netflix earnings in 2 days. I wouldn't do anything with it. Perception for me is that they've shored up their programming. I find stuff to watch now. I don't have to go and watch like in foreign language. I would be tempted to buy dips rather than chase rallies. But if it does go to 505, it's probably going to 545. Okay, so if you want to take a trade, a lottery ticket for the earnings, I'll go in with you. Until then, I will be buyer of dips as an investor. NIO, I wouldn't touch electric vehicles, let alone Chinese electric vehicles. I can't trust them. And I can't trust their government telling me what they want to do politically. This stock is broken and I should leave it alone. Look at it. Whether the company is broken or not, I don't care. The stock is broken. We raised the alarm on this one a long time ago. And I said, walk away. I used to trade it. I've traded it down to 30, up to 30, and we did well. And then we said no more. So if you're invested, consider it a risky investment, and I would not add to it. Don't dollar cost average into junk. You will end up with a broken account. I'll say it again. Don't dollar cost average into junk. Don't average down. Never. I don't know one trader that's successful that averages down. If they average, it's averaging in. So if you bought 200 shares and you were willing to buy 400 but you held off, you can add a 200 on a dollar cost averaging. But if you took your 400 and then now you decide to make your problem bigger, what kind of logic is that? Nova, fallen into support. You can go long against prior support and hope for the best that they hold it. And you can decide to stop out if they lose the support because you don't know where they go. Okay? Falling into support is a good idea to go long. And I would treat it as in it goes to 13 and dies. Like if I go from here to here and I make 20% on my money, I'm out. I'm not an investor. They're selling rallies. All right, video 3 is coming up.